Yeah, before the construction. So we need to.
This is
Okay.
above the construction.
Yeah.
Construction's over here. So see that? That's my water. That's the road.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, if we really are focused on fixing the problems, then let's fix all the
I have a
problems.
bunch of them.
Yeah, this is another one that's,
So,
look at this. Hang on. This is over next to Mill. Okay, this is at the turn where 721 hit 73 going to my house. Yeah, I mean, so look at that.
Hello, Sam. Can you hear me?
Ah, there we are. Yeah, I can hear you fine, Bob. How about me?
Okay, because I couldn't hear you, so I was thinking there was something wrong with my my audio. So we're good. You and I can talk at least. Hey, good to see you.
You too, man.
Can you guys
Yeah.
hear us here at Town
Ah,
Hall?
there we are. Yeah, I can hear you fine, Bob. How about me?
Can you-
Okay, because I couldn't hear you, so I was thinking there was something wrong with my my audio. So we're good. You and I can talk at least. Hey, good to see you.
You too, man.
Okay. Hear us here at Town
Ah,
Hall?
there we are. Yeah, I can hear you fine, Bob. How about me?
Can you-
Okay, because
I want to call the meeting to order.
I'm thinking there was something wrong with my
Uh-oh.
my audio. So.
Oh, Bob can't hear. Yeah, he's talking away.
They're both frozen.
Okay.
No, it keeps repeating.
Hold on. I want to call the meeting to order.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, Bob can't hear. Yeah, he's talking away.
Oh,
Okay.
No, it keeps repeating.
Oh, gosh.
that's not me. That's not me because it's reverberating somehow. I'm okay.
can we turn our volume down in here?
Coming back.
Okay. Now can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I think I got it figured out.
Good job.
Chair, vice
Woo.
chair, we are ready.
All righty. Okay, I would like to call the Planning Commission regular meeting to order here Wednesday, February 23rd at 6:35. May I have a roll call, please? We'll begin inside. Margaret Bowles,
Arnell Quinn. Philip Vanderneal.
Bob,
Bob Ganussi.
Sam Brewer.
Katie Souls. All righty. May I have an approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Do I have an approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the January 26th, 2022 meeting? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, well, we'll begin the meeting. I wanted to lay out the parameters like I did some in the last time I chaired a meeting. As a reminder, the public hearing is a legal proceeding. And what we will do is we will start with the staff report from Catherine Trotter. And then the applicant will make a presentation. At that point, the commissioners will ask their questions. I would ask that the commissioners that we all try to write down your questions, hold them until after the presentation. And then we will open it up to public comment. We would like to keep your comments, please, at the public level to 4 minutes. And if there's anyone out there that here's something that's repeated, you can just say, I agree with so-and-so. And then the chair will ask the planner or the applicant to clarify any additional questions. And then we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Captain Trotter, planner.
So we do have proof of publication that the legal was in the newspaper 14 days in advance of tonight's hearing. And I have also received from the applicant all of the return receipts for the adjacent mailings to property owners within 200 feet of the subject property. And so we're here tonight for a public hearing on the final plat and final plan amendment to Alpenglow at Grand Park, which is part of the Grand Park Plan Development District. That recorded document was enclosed in your packet. This specifically refers to planning area 2W.1 and 2W.2. And again, just to remind all the people that are in the room and listening, that the Plan Development District is a document that was recorded back in 2005. It breaks up all of Grand Park, which is about 1,300 acres, into different planning areas. And there are entitlements associated with each planning area, and also development standards associated with each of those planning areas. So we have previously approved Amendment 1 to the final plan. And that was actually just for the planning area 2W.1, and that deleted 3 lots, I think, in the Willows filing 3. This amendment, Amendment 2, mainly deals with planning area 2W.2. But the reason that 2W.1 is also included in this amendment is that there was a lot line adjustment between lots 25 and 26. And again, I think that was, I want to say filing 3. But it could have been 4. So again, this is planning area 2W, and the PDD allows for an average density of 7.6 units an acre. The entitlements, again, the land use that was approved by the town of Fraser back in 2005 allows for 150 detached residential units, 100 attached residential units, 278 lodging units, and 3,000 square feet of commercial on 33.8 acres. The annexation agreement does allow up to a 30% density transfer between planning areas. And as we have mentioned previously, the applicant is requesting a density transfer to transfer 9 residential units from planning area 5W, which is the Elk Creek filings 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that planning area has, again, been approved previously for 100 units. 70 of those have been platted within Elk Creek filing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that leaves 30 units left to be platted in planning area 5W. So this transfer of the 9 residential units from 5W would allow 21 units left in the 5W. And I know that's kind of minutia, but it needs to be tracked. And, you know, we've been tracking it. The town has been tracking that. The applicant has been tracking that for years. And we did ask them to kind of change one of the plan notes to account for that density transfer. So again, the PDD has development standards for each planning area. Within planning area 2W, again, it's a mixed land use, 75-foot height max, 0 front, side, and rear setbacks, 10% open space requirements, and there is a 15-foot improvement and a 20-foot building setback from Old Victory Road. And again, kind of going back, we've been looking at this project for over a year now, initially at a staff level with the sketch plan. It was initially submitted, I think we all remember this, as a 204 unit for rent multifamily residential community. And the plan at that time was to be constructed in 2 phases. Now with this resubmittal, Again, that was initially apartments. So the product type, as we learned, I think either at the last planning or the town board meeting, the product type has changed. So it's gone from apartments to now 204 multifamily residential condos to be constructed on 16 lots in 3 phases. So again, the applicant has submitted in this packet the final plan amendment 2 for this project, and also 3 final plats. So we're at final plat stage now. Again, the last time the planning commission reviewed this was at a public hearing back in October on the 27th. And at that point in time, staff and legal counsel had several concerns regarding the application for the Willows Apartments. And I summarized those briefly in the briefing. It was improper inclusion of 23W into the development plan, improper inclusion of 2W.3 and 2W.4 into the development plan, lack of a commitment to dedicate the Old Victory Road remaining right-of-way, lack of commitment to construct the sewer crossing and improvements. Again, at that meeting, the staff had recommended denying that application. After a lengthy discussion at the planning commission level, the planning commission, we had recommended that the planning commission push it up to board, but with that recommendation of a denial. And if you remember, it was pushed up to board with no recommendation. So the board did review that development application. It was revised a little bit before it went back to town board on the 17th of November. And staff and also legal felt at that time that several of the deficiencies, those 4 deficiencies, had been resolved in a revised application. And so the town board did approve this product, which was kind of morphing during that time. But the planning commission did review and approve the resolution approving the development application, which would then move it forward, move the final plat back to planning commission. And so that's where we're at today. There was a Terracina design letter dated 12/22/21. And we felt that a lot of the conditions that were in that town board resolution had been met. And that's why we scheduled this public hearing for tonight. As typical application, the engineering review is still ongoing. There were some public works comments in the packet, and there were also several Merrick engineering comments on utility and drainage comments that are still being met. And we did receive the construction documents, a separate set of construction documents for the Highway 40 sewer crossing. And we did receive, I think, some revisions to that on the 18th of February, which have been forwarded on to Merrick. And we don't have any review comments back on those. So again, applicant is proposing the project to be constructed on 16 lots in 3 phases. And can we go ahead and pull up that? I think sheet 7 shows the 7 of 14 shows the different phases, but so again, that corresponds with the 3 different final plats that are in the packet. So the first final plat is comprised of 6.2 acres to include lots 11 through 16 and outlot A for a total of 72 residential units. Filing 2 plat is 4.5 acres, and that includes lot 6 through 9 with a total of 60 residential units. And then the filing 3 plat is 6.1 acres to include lots 1 through 5 for a total of 72 residential units. And I did note in the briefing that there were several blanks under the note section of those 3 final plats that had reception numbers that were blank, but they're documents that have already been recorded, so we can get those reception numbers filled in there. As it relates to the final plan amendment 2, there was no sheet 12 on there. And then on sheet 4, there's a section on the site data chart under future residential land use. And we have requested that the reference to the 66 and the allowed density transfer be removed. because we typically would review a density transfer from one planning area to another at that time during the public hearing. And the annexation does have language that says densities may be transferred between planning areas up to 30% of the receiving area if sufficient roadway capacity and water and sewer capacity is available. So this needs to be determined as that development application is coming through the process. The other item that we've talked about before is the applicant has applied to the Army Corps of Engineer to relocate Cousins Ditch. And there's some documentation in the packet that the Army Corps has approved that request. There needs to be a turnaround easement provided for the end of American Willow Drive. And there's been some correspondence between the applicant and the town since the packet went out, suggesting that there was an easement on the filing 3 plat, page 3. And there's actually language on there that talks about it being dedicated via separate instrument. The parking, again, multifamily, we need 1 10 by 20 parking space for 1 bedroom or studio. 2 bedrooms, we need 1.5 spaces, and then you round up. And then 3 bedrooms or more, we need 2 10 by 20 spaces. And it appears that the applicant has met and exceeded, I think, the parking requirements. So there were lots of items that were submitted to the town, some of which were in the packet. And I just wanted to remind everyone that I didn't put all of the documents in the packet. And so if you're interested in some of the packets that weren't, some of the documents that weren't in the packet, please reach out to me and I'll send them over to you. But I tried to kind of pick and choose and not, there was a lot of material in here. I know that most of you have studied this in the past, so there wasn't a whole lot of new information. But again, if there is stuff that isn't in the packet that has been submitted, you need to reach out to staff and so we can get that over to you. So we are recommending approval with 10 conditions, and I can go ahead and read those conditions. Number 1 is developer must agree to provide a dedicated right-of-way for and construct the remaining portion of Old Victory Road as part of the subdivision improvement for this project, and must be included in the SIA, which is the subdivision improvement agreement, in conjunction with the first recorded plat. Number 2 is developer must agree to construct the Highway 40 sewer crossing to provide the capacity necessary to serve the Alpenglow project, as well as future developments. The proposed Alpenglow project will exceed the capacity of the current system. Construction of these sewer improvements must be included in the SIA in conjunction with the first recorded plat. 3 refers to the provide emergency turnaround easement, again, at the end of American Willow Drive. 4 is address the Public Works and Engineering comments from Merrick. Number 5, the general notes section on each plat, fill in the blanks with reception numbers that have already, the documents that have already been recorded. No sheet 12 on the final plan, please provide that. On sheet 4 of the final plan, amendment 2 on the site data chart, under future residential land use, delete the 66 units and reference to allowed density transfer. Address review comments provided by the Whitmer Law Firm in a memo dated 2/17/2022, which was in your packet. Again, I've heard today that there was a response letter to Kent Whitmer's memo of 2/17. It went directly to Kent. It wasn't copied to town staff, so we haven't seen that, and I don't think he has been able to review it prior to the meeting tonight. Number 9 is applicant must secure a Cdot utility permit for US 40 sewer crossing prior to recording the first plat. And then the last condition is applicant shall resubmit for review and approval all final plat and final plan documents. This development application shall be scheduled for town board review once these conditions have been addressed. And with that, I will hand it to the applicant. Layla is here representing Grant Park, as is Clark in the audience. I share my spinners. It's green right in the middle.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to hear our project tonight. I'm Layla Rosales with Terracina Design, and I am the planner helping out Grant Park on this particular community. Catherine said a lot, and I know a lot of you have already seen this, so I'm going to keep this brief, and obviously would be here to answer any questions. So Alpenglow Apartments, as Catherine already mentioned, is in planning area 2W, right next to Old Victory Road.
Condos.
Sorry, condos. See, I'm already screwing up. All right. The condo development you're looking at here includes 204 units. We've got two different types of buildings here. There's a 12-unit building and an 18-unit building. And we've got about 50% 2 bedrooms, 35% 1 bedrooms, and 15% 3 bedrooms. In addition to some garages, detached garages located throughout the community, trash enclosures, and a fair amount of open space throughout the community, as you can see. And as Catherine already mentioned to you, phase 1 that we're looking at building here is on the left side of the plan here, and it's these 2 access points. Phase 2 is in the middle, and phase 3 is the southernmost portion or part on the right of this particular community. We have met, as Catherine already mentioned, we've met kind of all the development standards that are both in the PDD as well as in the development code: parking, snow storage, building height, density, setbacks, open space, etc. These are some renderings of what this will look like as you go throughout the community. This is off of Highway 40, looking towards the community. This is a little bit further north, kind of looking from the rec center across the meadow area. This, and again, this is kind of rotating in a little circle here. So this is from Grand Park Drive, just outside of the gas station area. And this is starting to go down Old Victory Road as you head back towards the Cousins Meadow neighborhood. Just show you some views here. And then this is looking back the other way, back towards the divide from the Cousins Meadow neighborhood. So these are what the buildings look like. They're 3-story buildings. And this is kind of an idea of what the typical building will look like here. Clubhouse. So there's going to be a clubhouse associated with this community. And some of the amenities that are going to be included in the clubhouse include a outdoor swimming pool, a party spa, some outdoor lawn games, and inside there'll be some fitness areas, barbecue counter, fire pits, etc. And then additional amenities throughout the community that we're providing is ski storage and lodge. We'll hopefully get some ski lift benches in throughout. I think it'll be kind of fun. Fitness, a game room, a little playground, and a pet spa, because, well, you gotta wash your dogs. This is actually just a list of the conditions that Catherine just outlined. I would want to say that pretty much 9 out of 10 we're fine with, and and we shared with Catherine kind of our response to that. The one that we'd still like to have some conversations about is actually the first one, which has to do with the timing of the construction of Old Victory Road. I know we've spoken to all of you about this before, and it really comes down to construction staging and the ability to keep the construction traffic as well as the materials away from those residents that are along Mountain Willow Drive for as long as we can. And so, being that we do have 2 points of access currently off of Old Victory Road, kind of on either end into this community, and we meet all the requirements for access in the zoning code, we're looking to be able to use that area for staging, and I would like to be able to actually extend that into filing 3. So what we'd like to propose is that with filing 3, the SIA of filing 3, and we can either include it with that, or we can do a separate development improvement agreement for that road that's associated with filing 3, because then all of the homes, all of the construction directly adjacent to those existing homes will be complete. And then we're really just down to that south side, and we kind of keep that traffic off of their roadway in that interim. So that's what we would request, is that we change that to say with filing 3 as opposed to with filing 1, and we will include that in the SIA, or like I said, or do a separate development agreement, whichever the town prefers. All of the rest of these conditions, we think are fine. We don't have any problems with them. Some of these we've already addressed. Some of them we will take care of as part of the resubmittal. As Catherine did mention, we have submitted the construction plans for the Highway 40 sewer crossing. We resubmitted those after one round of review and addressed those comments. So we hope that they're close in this next round of review. So we are pushing that forward in hopes of getting that constructed this summer. So.
And I guess I would like to comment on Layla's comment in regard to condition number 1. And as we had mentioned previously, I didn't mention it tonight, but the Willows that was approved by the town was actually Willows filing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So filing 4 was never recorded. And this project now is in a portion of what was filing, the Willows filing 4. And when that went through the town a number of years ago, the town board agreed that the portion of Old Victory Road didn't have to get recorded until the Willows filing 4 plat was recorded, which it never was. So we would recommend, staff is recommending that this condition stay in here and that the dedication and construction of Old Victory Railroad is done in conjunction with the first plat that's recorded.
Does staff have
Hold on.
Clark Lipscomb for the record. I'm just curious, does staff have a recommendation as to what should be done relating to the Willows duplexes and single family homes that are in filings 1, 2, and 3 as to mitigate the construction impacts of them? We made some big accommodations to the town on the Mill Apartments
Okay.
to eliminate
So-
connection and a lot of that, and to direct construction traffic away from the town to not run it through the town. And
So
that
Clark-
was driven by those adjacent homeowners. And so I would just like to know if there's a recommendation from staff on how we deal with that.
Clark, let's bring it back to the board's role right now too, in terms of asking you guys questions, but it's a valid question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so board members or commissioners, do you have questions for the applicants? And once we get out of the public hearing, we can have we will have an additional discussion.
No questions for me. I asked them last time.
Okay, no questions for Purnell.
I have actually a
Margaret?
question for Catherine. For Catherine.
Good.
With regard to condition number 1, tell me why you feel it's better to do it with the first now versus waiting? Why do you feel that?
Because this was a condition that was put on this area many years ago.
Mhm.
And because the plat for filing for the Willows was never recorded, there was no subdivision improvement agreement. So that requirement kind of went away.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes, it makes sense.
Any questions from you, Philip?
When do you plan on starting this project?
Hi, Clark Lipscomb.
By starting, I mean break
This project
ground.
we're intending to start this summer. All the pipe work. There's quite a lot of water sewer to be installed and a lot of earthwork. Part of the earthwork that needs to be done is associated with Old Victory Road and that final design. And in fact, Old Victory Road gets cut quite a lot. And then there's quite a lot of fill on the actual site itself. And then there's going to be a lot of dirt import on this specific site. And the material is coming from west of the tracks through the new underpass to accommodate that fill. So the remaining dirt that was stockpiled from the underpass project will end up on this site to balance the site and make it all work out. So we're really trying to keep that road in a gravel condition through filing 1 and 2s. That's a lot of units to build. And we know that that kind of construction is hard on road surfaces. And we also, most importantly, are sensitive to the duplex owners that are immediately adjacent to filing 1 and 2. So the best thing to do is to access off that road only and not have any access, which has worked quite well. And I think we've done a good job of keeping construction traffic out of the town for this adjacent project. And this is really not too different. Just because it was a requirement in a prior subdivision, I don't think necessarily answers the question as to when is it most appropriate to be installed. And the other thing that wasn't required in filing 4 is what is built now, which is Old Victory Road all the way to King's Crossing. And that is paved. So we have a paved connection now that runs from Bank of the West all the way through to the town of Winter Park at King's Crossing. That was not a requirement of Willow's filing 4. So we would really like to leave this section until filing 2 is complete and have it be part of the filing 3 SIA.
So filing 1, you're gonna start on, you're gonna put all the deep utilities in, do road cuts, and then start building actual buildings for filing 1 this year,
No,
next year?
no, the way it works, infrastructure will go this summer, deep wet utilities and earthwork. And then vertical construction will be in 2023. Okay. So you're looking, if you're asking about timeframes as far as the road and the
kind of
completion.
the time frame that the thing that concerns me about holding off until filing 3 is that what if filing 3 never happens, like filing 4 never happened?
Yeah, valid point.
So
How about an idea that
where
we
the
say,
economy falls out,
Yep.
and then you stop building for
Mhm.
another 10 years, and then we have an unfinished road, a major connector road that's unfinished in our community. So
Yeah.
that's the concern.
well, what do you think about an idea where it's part of the filing 3 SIA, but in no event will it be completed later than 2026? And that way you put, so that the summer of 2026, if filing 3 doesn't proceed, we have to put it in. Okay, no different than the Alpenglow. It's a separate project. The construction plans are on file with the town. They've been approved by the town. It was going to be in a DIA as a part of the Alpenglow, or what was the Willows Apartments, the HUD project, because it couldn't be part of the physical project. It was an offsite improvement. And we can do that in the same fashion and have a DIA that has, a date certain it has to be completed by us, which we don't have currently in the annexation agreement. There is no time frame for Old Victory Road to be completed. So the code requires dual access to subdivisions. We've got that. So we comply with the code with the current project as it's submitted. We too would like to have Old Victory Road finished, but we also would like to not be building this project from Mountain Willow Drive or with traffic running up and down Old Victory Road, which, frankly, since we've opened it, it's become quite a traffic corridor and has some significant speeding issues that would be quite challenging to the amount of construction that we need to do on this site.
So you're asking for the road that now is very busy, as you've just said,
Mhm.
to be used as a construction
Yes,
staging.
that's correct.
So you'll shut it off on each.
It's going to be closed on each end. Sure, it has to be, because
everybody will.
there's about 5 feet of dirt that comes out of that road to build it to its final grade. And it wasn't intended to be a side road to US Highway 40. It was a neighborhood collector road. So the fact that it's being used like it is, that's definitely unintended. I understand why that's happening, but that should have
I
nothing
disagree
to
with
do.
that. I disagree with
Well,
that.
I mean, we can agree to disagree,
Okay,
but
so we're not,
I wasn't building parallel
So I'm
Highway
more-
40 roads.
So I'm more, just me personally, I really want to,
so
I
let's,
think that can I finish what I'm?
yes, you may.
I really want to stay firm behind our staff on this and I would be more amenable to accepting it with a time frame. But to say that, to leave it open-ended again, I'm not okay with. I'm just gonna tell you that right now, that because filing 3 may never happen. And so I'm not okay with that as a trustee, so.
So Sam, do you have any questions for the applicant? Sam?
There we go. I'm on.
Hey.
After all that, no, I don't this time around. Thank you very much, Clark.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay. You're welcome. And Bob Ganusi, have you questions for the applicant?
Yes, I've got a couple, and for the applicant and Catherine. As I understand it, Catherine, this is for you. Number 10, condition number 10, you say the applicant shall resubmit for review and approval all final plat and final plan documents, blah, blah, blah. And my question is, when you say resubmit for approval, who's going to approve it? Is that by staff, or are you inferring that it's got to come back to the planning commission for a vote? Or is the approval going to be by town staff?
So what I'm suggesting in this condition is that the applicant needs to address all these conditions in the resolution and then resubmit addressing these conditions. And then the procedure is it will go to town board for review and approval. So it'll be
Okay.
scheduled for town board after most of these conditions have been met.
Okay, as determined by staff.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand. It's not coming back to us as long as staff is in receipt of information from the applicant that satisfies that the conditions have been essentially met.
Right. So yeah, this is final plat at planning commission, then it will move to town board for approval.
Okay, and let's see. In the original, this is for Clark, in the original plans back before this morphed into Alpenglow, there was going to be a clubhouse. And I'm just trying to understand, is the clubhouse still part of the project? And if so, is it in which phase?
Yeah, the clubhouse, Bob, is in filing 3.
Okay, so that's the third filing, yes.
Yep, Layla touched on it. And yes, it's still in the project.
Okay, and the circle that you would access the clubhouse by driving into that circle at the end of the Willow Street.
American Willow.
Willow.
Yep.
That now becomes a turnaround for the fire department, correct? I mean, it's going to be dual purpose, but we've made it into a turnaround to meet the requirements for Grand County Fire, right?
That is correct.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thanks, Bob.
Awesome. Great. Okay, if there's no more questions from the commissioners, we'll open it up for public comment. If you have a comment, please raise your hand and we will open it up for you. Again, try to keep it to 4 minutes or less, and we'll have good civil dialogue. So let's see, Brett or Deborah, you seem to be the two that might have comments here. I don't know if you can raise your hand or not. No, we'll move on.
We have a hand.
There we go, 2 hands. All right, Deborah Schulman.
Thank you. I don't have a comment. I think I'll save my comments for the town trustees. Thank you very much for this hearing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Deborah. Brett?
Yeah, hi, I just had a quick question, and it was unclear to me. It's a multifamily unit development. Is this a for rent or a for sale development? That wasn't clear to me.
Hi, Brett, Layla here. It's a for sale product.
Okay, Brett, you're muted. Are you all done? Okay. We'll move on.
Move
Go.
to close the
Any,
public.
yeah.
Public
Close,
comments.
yep. Gonna close the public hearing. Is that your motion?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the public comment period is closed now. Commissioners, if you would like to have a little more discussion.
Well, it seems our biggest hangup is the access on that road. How to use it. I think we set a precedence with the Willows Apartments that we didn't want construction traffic going through our neighborhoods. And if we do it in one neighborhood, I feel we should respect it in all neighborhoods. I agree with Philip as well, that we should have a timeline on the road regardless of what gets built. That at some point that road should be finished. Because it's not, no, there's no teeth in it to ever get it finished if we don't put something on.
So if the plan is to close a section of Old Victory Road, do you not think that those cars are going to drive in through the existing roadway?
Well, they will.
It actually
There'll be
has
traffic.
the exact reverse of what is happening at Mill. It actually forces
Mm-hmm.
the traffic into a community rather than keeping it out.
Come down on Victory Road.
Because if Old Victory Road is closed, then where are people gonna drive? They're gonna drive down in, I don't know what that road is down there, but the duplex, they're gonna drive right in front of the duplexes.
Well, there wouldn't be a connection there yet, would there?
There is a connection.
I mean, it might deter some of the people that are doing 50 down that road to
Right.
not go down that road anymore too.
It's going to be closed. That's what
Yeah,
they're saying.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
the road, Old Victory Road will be closed.
Right.
Probably needs to be closed for a bit. I don't know if you've
Certainly
seen the
needs to be
traffic come
closed
down it.
until they can get it finished.
Right.
I mean, they're gonna lower it, so you can't have
Yeah.
cars, vehicles on it while they're doing that. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
The,
We could also leave it as is and let the board take care of it.
Right.
Mhm.
Maybe we can
So-
come up with an
Just
idea.
go-
I would
somebody can-
support
somebody
what
could just make
Catherine's
the motion,
suggesting and
you
let
know.
the board
Yeah.
change it if
Yeah, because
If
they don't
between now and
agree.
then, we might be able to come up with an idea that makes sense. for everybody.
we can make recommendations. So Sam and Bob, do you have opinions on this?
This is Bob. I do have an opinion and I agree that I've observed the same thing that Clark mentioned, and that is since we've turned a lot of new traffic onto Old Victory Road, it can be quite dangerous walking down the side of the road there with people going 50 miles an hour down through there, especially around the time the ski resort lets out. So I'm a little concerned, as Philip said, with if we close off Old Victory Road entirely, that may force a lot of unwanted traffic to come through the Willows neighborhood, which is not what we want. So I'm of the opinion that we need to have some kind of workaround to where perhaps we minimize the amount of time that Old Victory Road is completely shut off from traffic, legitimate traffic that uses that Old Victory Road, and then have some sunset to where if filing 3 never happens, the road does get completed. So I'm of the opinion that we need some workaround language that will minimize the shut off of Old Victory Road for a long period of time while construction proceeds, and an end date to when the road will get finished, project finished or not. That's all.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Bob just said. Sounds quite reasonable. And leave it at that.
All righty, well, I guess it's my turn. There's a lot of really good comments. I would lean towards requiring putting a date on the paving, as you spoke of, maybe 2026. Completely closing Victory Road will be a problem. But putting all the traffic through the residential neighborhood, as now it's becoming so popular, that could be an issue. So if there is a way to minimize the closure of Old Victory Road, or maybe in the morning, it's one way heading one direction. In the evening, it's one way heading north. In the morning, it's one way heading south. I don't know if it's, while it's under construction, it's a thought.
Well,
But I understand, I totally get that you need space they need space for staging. And the one thing that we did in the town of Fraser was we put up those signs that said, no vehicles over 30-ton gross vehicle weight, which basically disallows any large construction traffic. You know, it still allows for the smaller vehicles, they're discouraged. But to be able to post that in that neighborhood would be good. And my other thought is that before it comes to the town board, I think that we should send out a letter or email a letter to all of the homeowners along Mountain Willow Drive and explain to them what this case is. And it could be a letter from the town and from the developer, or it could be from you guys, asking those homeowners what they think. You know, would they rather have no construction traffic at all through there? So anyway, because they're the ones that everyone's the most concerned about. I do think that people will go a lot slower. They're going fast because that is a freaking straight shot, and there's, no place for the police to hide. And, the speeding along there right now, that won't necessarily be a problem, but there's a lot of kids in that subdivision too, in terms of the traffic, so.
Well, for the subdivisions, we put in resident traffic only. And if people are driving straight through it, then cops can start handing out tickets.
Well,
Need
but
to
if
hand out
that's the
tickets.
only route through, if Old Victory Road is closed.
But that's not supposed to be a secondary route for traffic to get to Granby from Winter Park, or to get from Winter Park to Fraser. Old Victory Road is set up as a neighborhood road. It's not set up as a.
Well, I disagree with that. I think it
Fraser
was,
Valley, the Parkway.
yeah, Fraser Valley Parkway.
Designed like that for. you can't say-
1986.
Yeah, it's part of
Well,
our
that's been a
master
major-
plan
that
for
has been a-
moving.
Yeah. that's right.
I understand what it's planned for, but it goes through
Yeah.
neighborhoods now.
Right.
The original plan was
Yeah,
to put it
that's-
closer
yeah,
to the
yeah,
tracks.
It's always been, it's never, ever not been. Sorry to
Well-
disagree with. Frank.
So we,
I mean,
so we
that's-
close the road for a short period of time, get people used to going back to the highway. I'm for that, with the way people are driving down that road. It's more locals driving out that road fast than it
Well,
is
but-
tourists coming through here.
And as you know, it's when you can't drive down the highway, which is,
Well, when the tourists are driving it down, it's a gridlock everywhere, so nobody's driving fast anymore.
right. Okay,
Ed, did you have any comments?
no. Does the applicant have any more comments?
No, I think
regarding that. We'll work on a little bit of a plan. And we've already talked to homeowners in there, but I think we could probably put together a little bit of a draft plan of here's how this would work with the prescribed time frame. And I think some no through traffic or neighborhood traffic only signs could be put up while it's closed. And then perhaps after the rough earthwork and everything's done and it's graded back to gravel, it could stay in a gravel state and be open back up. That's a potential. I think we need to get the site graded first and filled before any paving's ever done there. Because it's just going to be, it's a lot of dirt and it's a lot of in and out. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I think we can come up with a program that, maybe accommodates some of the comments tonight and incorporates the Willows neighborhood homeowners and their sentiments and deal with it in that fashion.
So are you okay coming up with that plan and bringing it back to the board?
I would bring it, I would just have it be part of the town board discussion, and I would work with your staff on putting the plan together on how we would kind of see this happening, if that's adequate for you guys.
Sorry, I took over.
I would suggest leaving that condition as is.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Until we get the plan.
Mhm.
Once we get the plan, and then we can talk about the plan. You want a motion? You want a motion?
Yes. We'll accept the motions. What would be your motion?
Okay, I make the motion to approve the final plan amendment 2 and final, I don't ever get to do this because I'm the mayor. I'm all over it. And final plats filing 1, 2, and 3 Alpenglow at Grand Park with the 10 conditions that are in the packet.
Resolution
Yeah.
2022-0201.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays?
Okay.
Opposed?
No one, none opposed.
You gotta ask though.
Oh, is anyone opposed? I was counting.
Oh,
Yeah. Everyone said
No,
aye.
and Deborah, I see you have your hand up, but unfortunately the public comment period is ended. I'm sorry, I can't accommodate you. All righty then. Okay, motion carries. Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you have any other business on the agenda for tonight?
Nope, that was it.
I don't think so.
The it's pretty early for planning commission. It's a little ways, it's ways out, but the town board had a wonderful presentation by Parks and Wildlife and the quality of the Fraser River. And at the beginning of this meeting, I was looking at some of Clark's photos too from all around the valley of discharge points when it rains or snows into the river. And in this presentation, I took a few notes. I mean, it was very sobering. For one, the sculpin population in a section behind Safeway that they have been tracking, and sculpin are these little tiny fish that the big trout eat, and they're a real indicator of the health of our fish population. The count back 10 years ago was 550, and in 2021, it was 56. Very sobering. Along with this, he said that fishing is our #2 economic driver and economic impacts for Grand County. It's huge. And if we don't do something, a lot of things to protect our water quality, we're going to lose that resource and the income that comes along with it. So I think that the town needs to look hard at, I know that there's a number of places, and one of them is right behind Murdoch's. And I had commented on this
see you guys.
quite a while ago, where mucky water comes off and it flows straight into Elk Creek. And there are other locations. I think that we need to start prioritizing as a town, Winter Park, as an entire community taking a hard look at how all the mud and silt and pollutants are getting into the river, and designing either catch basins, constructed wetlands, which are basically catch basins with willows and plants that the water runoff lands in, and it stops it before those materials end up in the stream. And also looking at policies about snow removal. And this time of the year, I know it's such a challenge, but I noticed up at the resort, a lot of big, dirty, ugly, muddy snow pushed up right next to the Fraser, and it's going to melt into the Fraser. It's always been that way. But our river's on the brink of losing that habitat for a huge part of our economy, our local economy in the summer. So I just wanted to use this as a forum and to put that in your heads. And maybe we can start looking towards that and prioritizing it for the future for ourselves and our neighbors.
A couple comments. The reason they say fishing is number 2 is we can track it by the number of licenses that are sold. It's hard to know how many people that are on their mountain bikes, hiking trails and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard to tell which is actually the second biggest indicator for economics. The other thing is the fine sugary powder that you see that makes the water brown. You can take a cup of that, put it on your desk, and it'll sit there for 7 days before it settles out. So it's my opinion, not that I'm an expert, but it's my opinion that it's the heavier gravels that are filling in between the rocks and not the silt, or it's the silt, but the powdery sugar of the silt, which is almost the same level as pollen. And I don't know the last time you saw the river when it turns green, when all the pollen comes through it at one time. That's about the same level as that
Golden.
brown that they showed. But what's filling in the cracks is the slightly bigger, what the silt fencing catches and what the wattles catch. And we would have to line all of the dirt roads in Grand County to keep that from happening with wattles or silt fencing. Because the majority of that stuff comes off of roads, because the cars go over it and make it finer and finer and finer every year.
Right.
We could try the mag chloride, but that had an effect on the fish as well.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Right.
So, but what about, so it comes off the roads, but then it goes into either drainage ditches or drain pans.
But so
And
by,
before they hit the river,
you'd have
at
to have water
that
storage.
point, you would have to have some either basins or wattles or constructed wetlands.
Yeah, something that really.
So
filter.
I believe there are experts out there
There are.
that know, rather than us trying to solve it and not
Yeah.
being experts.
Okay.
And
We're just having
it
a
would be nice
discussion.
to have a nice, well, if it was actually on the agenda, rather than
Okay.
having an entire discussion about
okay.
something that's just.
We can let
And
it
that
go.
presentation is on our, you can go to youtube.com
Yeah.
and look for the
Yeah.
town of
I was
Fraser
just
and
trying
watch
to get
that
us to 7.
presentation.
I was just trying to get
about-
us to 7:30, so we had a full hour.
That's right.
It's a wonderful
I know, we
presentation.
have some time.
I'd
Everybody,
like to get rid of the
And we're
beavers. that
planning for
are
our
clogging
future,
up the
Philip.
river.
I know, but you
So,
should
but-
put this on, you knew about this from weeks ago. You should have
So-
added this to the agenda.
So that's a town
Instead
board
of-
thing.
instead of-
This- I'm the chair tonight, so do not scold me.
I can. scold
This is
whoever.
open forum, and that
This
is my
not- you-
openness.
it's not open forum.
Yeah, I don't think we have
Open
forum
forums for the public.
I think Ed
Future
might have had a
agenda
comment.
items.
Ed
That
knows
was
a lot about
future
it.
agenda
Ed knows
items.
a lot about it.
Okay.
I think Ed might have had a comment.
Hi, Ed. Would you like to comment?
I agree with following the agendas and so forth, but this was brought up. I do have some experience because I've spoken with John several times and been in several presentations with him. I do see it as an issue, and yes, we can think about all the surrounding possible causes for that, but in the first briefing that we got, they were a little bit more direct with the causes of this. And the causes of the sedimentation is runoff from construction. Now, there may be other contributions, and even in the town board meeting, they talked about there are some naturally occurring sedimentation that occurs during floods or high water, so forth. But it's particularly pointed toward the amount of construction in the Winter Park Fraser area. They mentioned 3 developments. They mentioned Rome, Rendezvous, and also Cornerstone. They also pointed out that one of those three actually has 5 active violations on that. And of course, that's Cornerstone. So just a little clarity for that.
Yeah.
It's concerning. We have a meeting scheduled with a consultant. And I was looking through my calendar to see what that date was. I think it's going to be sometime in late March or early April. There's a permitting system called the MS4 permit. We want to learn more about that. It's a tool that's used in densely populated communities, more than 1,000 people per square mile. But there's also a clause that allows less dense communities, small communities like Fraser, to implement this MS4 permit. And I believe, just from my preliminary discussions, it does give a little greater authority at the local level to address spills from construction sites, greater inspection of sedimentation fences and erosion control. But we won't have all those answers until we have that meeting with the state, either later the next month or the month following. But it's something that we're pursuing because it is an impact to our industry. It's an impact to the river, to the water quality. And it's something that, from what I've seen, the experience of people in Fraser care deeply about the Fraser River. And if we can find some way to have better controls at the local level, because when it's occurred in the past, we've been limited what we can do. We just simply report it to the state and it just kind of fades away. I will report it to this agency and it kind of fades away. But this possibly could give us a little extra teeth so that we can address that in a more formal manner. So that's all I want to
Don't
say.
the flows in the river have a lot to do with it too? Because our flows have been limited so much by what Denver takes out. Doesn't the flow of the river
I'm
have a
sure
lot
it
with the
does.
settlement?
I'm sure it has
Right.
something to do with that. It just adds to the, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
well,
all I have. Thank you.
future agenda item. And does anyone else have any future agenda items?
Motion to
What's that?
close, is that what we're?
Oh,
What's the
you're-
most? I never do it. I never do
so
it.
we close the public hearing, but you can move to adjourn.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn. That's what I was thinking.
motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night. Happy trails to you all.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm looking at Katie going, you normally do it. I don't even know what it is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, guys.